You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging out with you guys, and good morning. Guys, today we are joined by a repeat guest, somebody that you guys all know and love, and somebody who is just pouring a ton of love into the lawn and landscaping community. We got none other than my boy, Troy Bernauer. How you doing, brother? Good morning.
I'm good. How are you guys? Good,
man. Good. It's a rainy, cold Michigan, sleety kind of a morning and day. So we're making the best out of it, being productive over the weekend here. We can't be out doing leaves or snow. So in the meantime, we'll do some back end office work, make sure that the schedule's ready to go for next week, and just keep it moving, man. But what's going on with you?
I feel you. We haven't gotten any snow here yet, but I'll tell you what. I don't know if you remember the whole truck ordeal that I had with GIE or Expo.
Dude,
I just got it back 2 days ago.
Okay. So hold on. Zoom out a little bit for people that don't follow on social. Okay. Like, this is a whole story, bro. Like, such a black eye moment, but you had such a good attitude. I literally cringed when I saw your Instagram. So what happened?
So it was so funny, the amount of people that were messaging me about it. But just one day, I was Friday. It was the last day.
Mm-hmm.
I go out of my hotel and I auto start my truck. And keep in mind, guys, it's a 2018 Ram 2500 Hemi. But when it sounds like Daddy's souped up diesel, I'm just like, what the heck happened to it? So I'm like 20 feet away or something like that. And I look under the truck and there's just a part there. And I look at my girlfriend, I'm like, oh my God, no. Somebody cut off the catalytic converters. And yes, like a month later, I finally get it back because, long story short, I had to drive that home 12 hours to New Jersey. With it. Oh, yeah. And obviously the tunnels in PA was so much fun. Having even like the big 18-wheeler guys looking out the window like, what is that?
Wow.
I had the best attitude about it. Like, it sucks. You call insurance. It is what it is. It's in the past now. It doesn't even matter now. Everything's fixed. But
right.
The fact that it took a month.
Yeah, because didn't like your dealer order the wrong part or not order it or something, like with confusion?
He didn't order it. So, yeah, the dealer that I bought 2 trucks from him in the course of like 3 or 4 months. I had told him, and there's other stories to go with this. I'm not dealing with the dealership anymore, but I was like, yeah, my catalytic converters got cut off. And I called him like right after. I called obviously the police first to file a police report. Then I told my mom, hey, we're going to be a little late.
Right.
And then I called him and I'm like, hey, listen, I need to order a catalytic converter, yada, yada, yada. And it's actually, it worked out that he didn't order it. But yes, he told me that he ordered the parts and he'll let me know when they're in.
Oh,
2 weeks later, I'm like, hey, so what's going on? And he goes, oh, we never got a deposit from you. So I screenshot the text. I'm like, dude, you said you already ordered it. It's good, though, that it worked out that way because I had a buddy do the rest of the work. He goes, if you brought it to the dealership, it would have took even longer because not only did the guy who he cut off the catalytic converters, cut the O2 sensors, his Sawzall started hitting the oil pan a little bit. Not that it was leaking, but they obviously want to fix that too.
Wow.
Then it would have just been a whole debacle if I did have the dealership do it. So, you know what? Yeah, cup half full kind of guy. It worked out the best way it could have.
Sure. Yeah, and that's such a black eye because like you have this great Equip Expo is like the big national trade show and conference that we all go to, guys. If you're listening in, maybe new to the show, welcome to the jungle. But in usually mid to late October, we'll descend on Louisville, Kentucky, and Louisville's it's a pretty large city. It's a pretty safe city overall, I would say. There's some bad pockets, especially as you go west, and even certain parts as you go like north and east, but nonetheless, it's not an awful city. It's not like Chicago, okay? No disrespect to my friends in Chicagoland, but so Southside Chicago a little bit more rough than little rural podunk country, Louisville, Kentucky. Not the end of the world, okay? Love Louisville, great city, but you have this like great 3-day trade show and conference. You're having a lot of fun, seeing the lawnmowers, equipment, demoing, hanging out with friends, right? And then 2 hours before you leave, you get this like, oh crap moment, and somebody like sliced off your whole catalytic converter and exhaust system. That's beyond frustrating. And by the way, like just a quick little PSA while we're on this like weird rant. Make sure you guys like are locking your stuff up, installing some cheap $100 security camera from Amazon that you can like use with Wi-Fi from your cell phone, or at least a motion sensor floodlight. At a minimum, if you guys are keeping this stuff offsite or even at your house, because where I live, ironically enough, about a month before Troy, we had where I go to dump our leaves, the city paved out and did just some rock, not like concrete or asphalt, but they put down like really thick rock for people to have like an outdoor storage spot for campers and RVs and just different vehicles. It's just something that the city provided. I don't even know if you have to pay for it. It's just free parking spots for like your campers. Anyway, long story short, some thieves ran through. This is behind chain link fence with the security wires, the razor wire on top, all that mess. It's secure, but somebody hopped in and cut off 13 catalytic converters or whatever they're called, and just did an end run on the whole outdoor storage locker spot. And they have security cameras, but it's night, everybody's blacked out, and can't make out anybody. But dude, I don't know what they go for, but somebody said like $350 for these things on the black market or whatever. I don't know. Somebody just made off with, $4,000 worth of stuff in 20 minutes, slicing and dicing these things off, man. So any which way, just a quick thought, it's holiday specials, all over the place online. So you can get these floodlights for half the price with Black Friday and Christmas sales. So consider a $30 floodlight, motion sensor floodlight if you guys are out there. But you should have had a floodlight, Troy. You would have solved all your problems in Louisville, So.
Oh, yeah. I should have remembered if I'm going to the hotel. I should have put a floodlight out of my
see, that's what happens when you get your hotel at the Red Roof Inn, right? Paul talks about that on his show. So, no, I'm just messing, bud. But that's real. I'm glad that you got everything squared away and fixed up, and you guys were able to get back and hit the ground running. Give these guys one other, if you don't mind, just a little bit of ramp up about who you are, your background, and your business. Because last time you were on the show, gosh, what's it been? At least a year, maybe.
I did look back. It was episode 292, so it was a while back.
Yeah. So it's been a year at least.
Yeah. So. Oh, yeah. So not to sound like a broken record, because I completely went in complete depth, took up the whole hour on Paul Jameson's podcast talking about how I started. But, I'll touch on it if you guys did not listen to that.
Yeah.
It is somewhat of a sadder story, but yeah. So long story short, when I was about 12, my dad passed away, and that's kind of how the name TJ Lawn and Landscape came to be, because I'm Troy, he was Jim, and that was one of the last things I told him that I wanted to do with him. Kind of cool. Because of Thanksgiving, I actually did go up to his grave not too long ago. And it was the first time I actually went with one of my trucks. And I'm usually with a family. It's their family car. And, obviously everybody loses somebody. And sometimes when you go to the grave, you become numb to it. It was the first time in a while I really got emotional, because I look at the truck and then I look back at, obviously, my dad's grave. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, I'm just so happy that this is like the first time he gets to see this is what I was able to do, So, but that's a little off topic. Yes, I'm 23. I've had my business ever since 2016 out of high school. I've been full-time. I want to say this is going to be my 4th year now. And this year we actually did $250,000 in revenue. Super excited about that. Last year I was by myself, but decided to hire a couple guys this year that I'm so happy about. I remember actually texting Brian a while back. And I'm like, hey, so how often do you send Rob out to just go, do some stuff? And he goes, every day. He's my foreman. So I'm like, oh, you know what?
That's his job.
Awesome. I need to do that. Yeah. So that's why one of my guys, I made him my foreman. Obviously over time, it did take time. At first I just had him, hey, let's drive the truck. When I knew he could drive the truck, all right, let's throw the trailer on there. And I would drive in the passenger seat to make sure, because he had never driven a trailer before. And hey, that was majority of the summer. He did great. I am trying to teach one of my guys to do that, because next year what I want to do is purchase another trailer. We have 2 trucks, and be able to send out the mowing crew, but I would probably be in the landscape trailer until I'm able to trust that they know what they're doing, that I can do back end work. Yes, this year was, I would have them go out and do mowing while I, made the calls, go do the estimates and stuff like that. And that's how I want my business to operate. And obviously, anybody listening, you're a small business owner, that it takes time. And if you want to do something, you got to work at it, So that's a little backstory about me,
Lawns, landscaping, and outdoor awesomeness, that's what your business does best. Managing your vehicles and optimizing efficiency with the latest technology is what we do best. GPS Track It provides a 24/7 view of where your company vehicles are and how efficiently they're operating, saving you time and money. With more than 12,000 customers, GPS Track It has delivered peace of mind for lawn and landscaping companies for 20 years. Ready to protect your vehicles and save money? Talk with one of our fleet advisors. There's no pressure, no hassles. Call 833-385-0252 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to learn more. Those details are in the show notes. GPS Track It.
How's the first year going with having other guys in the field and you taking your hands off the reins a little bit with the mowing or the weekly landscaping? What has it been easy? Has it been difficult? A lot of these guys are looking to hire their first, second, third guy. What's your experience going from 0 to 3 or 4 guys now?
I can't tell anybody listening that it's going to be, smooth sailing. It's going to have ups and downs in the sense that just be prepared. I can't recommend enough that if you're going to make that move, you definitely want to have insurance. After having insurance for how many years, we just had our first thing this year with a window breaking. And I can't recommend, let's say, like the advanced chute or something like that enough because that definitely will prevent something. Always have a chute blocker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely not necessarily smooth sailing, regardless of how good your employees are. Given it's nerve wracking, especially if this is your business that you started from the ground up. Everybody always says, your business is your baby. You don't want, if you're the one who's always making the decisions and stuff like that, to kind of take a step back, you feel like, okay, what if something goes wrong? What if this? What if that? But that's just life. One thing that I actually spoke with Corey Ballard about, I believe, when I was on his podcast at one point, he said that his biggest obstacle was being in his own way. He would have all these employees behind him, and this was his business. It was his way, yada, yada, until he realized, no, I need to let them branch off. So you know what? Get behind the line, let all your employees go in front of you and do what they have to do. Give them more responsibility. Show them that you care to, let them take a bigger role. But you know what? If they start branching off and you see they're not doing the right thing, you just pull them right back in.
Sure.
But that's like the best way to expand. They always say 2 heads are better than 1, 3 heads better than 1, whatever. So I took that when Corey said that, and I was like, you know what? I see all these guys doing it. Again, never compare yourself to somebody else, but I see all these guys doing it. It works for them. Let's try it. What works for somebody may not work for somebody else, but it worked for me. And you know what? I can't recommend enough that if you have been thinking about expanding your business in that regard, try it.
Well, and one thing too, a lot of people are always asking, well, how do you start empowering these people? How do you start teaching them and training them? And there's a lot of great people talking about that lately. We did a great podcast recently with Sam Gimbel with Atlas Outdoors. If you guys didn't listen to that podcast episode, it was one of our shop tour series. He did a really, really good job talking about culture and empowering people. That question came up a couple times during the masterclass breakout that we did with on Sunday morning after our live event just a couple of weeks back. And some of you guys might have heard this before, maybe haven't heard this before, but quick tip if you guys are venturing down this, because Troy said it exactly like this. It's I do, we do, you do. That's something that I have found works very, very well for me in not just lawn care. I mean, that's something that I think I learned way back at Little Caesars when we were making pizzas. You know what I mean? I would make a pizza in front of somebody that was a new hire. I'd say, this is how you do it. That way there's a standard, right? Like, and you're teaching them, quote unquote, the right way or your way, right? I guess you could say. And then I'm going to show you how to make a pizza. Then we're going to make a pizza together. Then you're going to make a pizza. And I'm going to do a little quality control check on number 3. So I'm going to make a pizza. You make the pizza, and then we're going to go, what did we do right? Where do we got room for improvement? Make another one, make another one, make another one. And over time, that person will start with quality and speed will ramp up with more time. So Troy, have you noticed that in the beginning where and you can be honest, like were the guys super productive or were they a little dead weight? And then they started, figuring out how you want things done and the right workflow. I mean, Did they just get it because they had experience coming from another company? Somebody had 7 years of experience. Like, what was that whole story like for you?
I'm going to try to touch on all of that in the sense that they all actually had no prior knowledge. These are, some people might be surprised to hear this, all guys that I went to high school with. Me being 23 and I'm going to be 24 in a month from now. I've been out of high school, I know how math works, 6 years? And yeah, so these are guys that actually reached out to me. They're like, hey, I haven't talked to them. I see you have the landscape business if you're looking for help, and they didn't know a dang thing. So I would teach them, hey, here's a weed eater. Obviously, it's not like the one that you used in your dad's shed or something like that. It's got a little more power, so be careful,
Sure.
When you're going around a vinyl fence, do this, yada, yada. And I teach them there. I would always mow the lawns. And then when I knew that they were doing good with the weed eater, then I was like, all right, let's put you on a mower. And you're obviously not going to stripe it, but let me show you how to do 3-point turn. Let me show you how to, deck to deck, make sure you get the whole stripe going. And when they started learning that stuff, that's kind of how I got them knowing what to do. But once I had them doing it without me there, you got to think of it this way. I know you use Yardbook. I would always know that, hey, when I was in the truck and we had, let's say, me and 3 or 4 other guys.
Okay.
We could do X amount of houses in an hour. Let's take away the travel time, even though we have a very good, dense route. Let's take out the travel time and how many houses can they do in an hour? I want to know when I'm not there that they're getting the same amount of time done. I don't necessarily look for, okay, we do 123 Sesame Street in 12 minutes. Are they doing it now in 14? Okay, well, there's one less guy. But how many can they do in an hour? 9 to 5, are they doing the same amount of work?
Sure.
You know, and none of my customers said, hey, I actually emailed everybody and said, hey, this is actually a job that we are taking. So if you see a change in quality of service, please let me know, because that is a huge thing that we care about. Not a single person said anything as far as, hey, we can tell that, you know, the job's not being done as good. The guys are missing stuff. We actually got emails saying, hey, we've noticed that the lawn looks better. And I'm like, wow, that really helps my feelings, because I don't know how was the problem.
Well,
right?
did you, let me ask you really quick, interject. Did you have any, not resentment or animosity, that's definitely not the right words, but any fear or like apprehension, I think is the word I'm looking for, with letting your guys go and being like, oh man, I hope they can do it as well as me, or is the customer going to notice that somebody else is mowing and Troy's not on the lawn today? Like, did you have any, you can be honest, or were you like, no dude, like this thing's growing to 1 million, I got to get out of the way?
A little bit of both. I had the feeling that I was scared at first. And you know what? The first few days, I was just, you know, as much as I wanted to get back end work done, do these estimates, make these calls, I almost just sat there doing nothing, staring at my phone, waiting for one of the guys to call me. Oh crap, this happened. You know,
right.
I was so just at first like, oh my God, this is so nerve wracking, until, you know, day one, they get back actually a little before schedule and everything was done. And I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Day number 2, you know, they're finishing, you know, maybe a few minutes ahead of schedule or something like that. These guys are really hustling, but getting the stuff done, not messing up these yards, moving a little too fast. And we had customers actually saying that they realized like the job was better, and they were happy that the guys took pride in the lawn, that, you know, they weren't slacking. But yeah, 100% I had that mentality that I do want to grow this to be something that I would have never imagined. I already, you know, 5-6 years into this is my, again, 6 years. I've already reached my 10-year goal. You know, so I had to redo my mindset of where do I want to be in X amount of years. If you guys know, Caleb Ullman said, I believe it was an Influencer Live, that your business is like writing a book backwards. When I heard that, I live by that now, in the sense that that's so true. But what happens when you finish this book ahead of schedule? Now you have to write a new book. Now you have to redo how, like, what you want the book to say, in the sense that, yes, if when I started, I wanted to have $250,000 business by year 10. I feel like looking back, that was so unbelievably easily achievable that I did that in such a short amount of time. Now I have to write a new book. Where do I want to be 10 years from now? You know what I mean?
Well, that right there is, we've said it 100 times, but this is the interesting thing about podcasting. Different things will hit different people at different times in your life and in your business. Right now, your bowl, your cup can only receive so much water. So once that cup is filled up, you're like, when people keep trying to pour stuff into you, but you haven't poured your cup out, i.e. took action and executed and grown, then you can't really receive any more info. And that's when things start sounding like white noise. You start getting apathetic. You just stop listening to podcasts or motivational content because you're like, I've heard it all before. Well, nobody's doubting that you haven't heard it before, but have you executed on it before? Now, Troy, you can go back through and you can go listen to a podcast that Caleb or myself or whoever did a year ago, 2 years ago, re-listen to something, especially with like a Corey Ballard or a Troy Clark, somebody who's got a $10 million business. Well, you listen to that podcast a year or 2 years later, as your business revenue has tripled since then in the last 18 months, you're going to go back through, listen to that podcast and go, holy crap, this is an entirely new podcast episode that I've never heard before, because you're learning and you're listening at a different vantage point. You're learning and listening, and now your mind is able to receive different things that are baked into those podcasts that originally when you had $100,000 a year business, you're like, yeah, that's what I need now. And that's what your brain's looking for. It's seeking out those answers. And now that you have a $300,000 business, $300,000 going to $500 if you want, now you're going to be listening to podcasts and you're not going to be so concerned about Echo 2620 or still FS, 94s. You're going to be learning about culture and training for hiring for attitude and training for aptitude. And then you're going to go, wait a minute, what did Greg Woodstock just say? And you're going to start stitching together different pieces of your jigsaw puzzle, as we've called it. But this right here is a great example of the peak to peak principle. And I've said it many a times, but now you got to $300,000 a year in revenue, and you're going to go, man, like you're going to look around, survey, catch your breath, and then go, wait a minute, this isn't all I've got. And yes, like Caleb says, and it's one of the best things that Caleb says, you get to write your book from back to front. But you know what? I mean, not to plus one that, but you can definitely say, like you were just alluding to, dude, this is the first book in the series. Okay. Like if this is Lord of the Rings, bro, like you're on like book 1 of The Hobbit. Okay. Like you got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's go through the Shire. Let's go to, the gates, man. So like, it's funny, like you get to write your book front to back, but if you already wrote that first book and you're already down with that first building block to a $250,000 business, which I think me personally, 0 to 100K is that first building block. I think going from 100K to about $1 million, maybe 1.2 is the next. And then there's levels after that, of course, the whole way through. But dude, you already wrote book 1 by getting to that 100K revenue. Now you're in the thick of it, going from, 250, 280,000, like you said, to going to $500,000 plus. So if you want, by the way, if you want to stop here and you're at a good, solid, profitable sweet spot that we'll call it, that's fine too, because to go from, $250,000 to $1 million plus, it's entirely different. I was just hanging with a buddy that's doing 1.5. He's like, bro, we just finally got our legs under us and we're finally making decent profit where I'm proud of the business. But he goes, last year I bought $350,000 of equipment reinvesting into the company. So don't always think, guys, that more is better, more is more profitable. There's different sweet spots and break-even points, and profitability points all along the ladder as you guys climb up. So Troy, super pumped for you, man. Any thoughts that you want to weigh in on that really quick?
Yeah. So I was actually thinking, as you were saying, that there's so many podcasts, YouTube guys that you can like listen to online and get like good advice. But if you haven't gone to say stuff like LAL or just Equip Expo to meet these guys, let's say in person, I always thought, okay, there's so much free information online. This is years back before I really started going to all this stuff.
Sure.
That there's so much all this information online that I can easily just, get this advice. But it's so much better. Think about it this way. You go to one of these places, talk with these guys one-on-one, you're going to hear the stuff that they don't just put for free out online, in the sense that, yes, right behind me to my left is the binder of all the notes that I took at LAL. I'm not going to be reading them right now because you got to pay for that type of knowledge. If you really want to take your business to the next level and hear from these guys, go to this stuff. Go to LAL. Go to Equip Expo. My first year at Equip Expo was actually last year because of COVID. And then, 2019, I actually just did not have the money.
Sure. Last
year, I go to Equip Expo, and my mind is, I want to look at all these moments. I want to go here. I want to go there. And I really didn't get anything done. This year, I was like networking. And that was probably the best thing that I could have done there, because I talked to all these guys, get this info that really changes my mindset of how to run my business. The past 2 years, again, this was my second year. When I get home, I've changed so much in my business just from being there, talking to these guys. The funny thing is, if Mike Andes listens to what I'm about to say, he's going to be like, I hate that guy. I will be honest with everybody here in saying that it takes me $2,000 a month to run my business in the debt that I have with mowers. And I'm okay saying that, because being at 23 years old and the money that we take in, I'm just being honest, 2,000 is nothing. But the reason I did that at my age, number one, was building credit. Number two is, if I can comfortably do that, when I'm ready to have a house, to obviously pay off that $2,000 a month, then I can have an amazing house with obviously my girlfriend at the time now. That's just how I look at it. I personally think that's not a bad thing, but 100%, if you talk to these guys, you're going to hear the guys that say, have a debt-free business. Debt's not a bad thing. They're going to tell you, hey, you should grow your business to be $1 million business. No, if you're comfortable having a $250,000 business and you're making good profit, stay there. As you always hear, what works for one person may not work for somebody else. But go to Eclipsed Expo, go to LAL, hear these guys, and write it all down so you know what you can try to do in your business and find out what works.
I love it, man. I love it. Let me ask you this. What's been your biggest mindset shift growing your business over the last 6 years? What's been your biggest mindset shift that you think was the catalyst to the revenue growth that you've had in the last 24 months?
Honestly, I think I always change my mindset of how I want to move my business forward, at least like once or twice a year. But recently, the biggest shift has been that I've realized that, yes, if we're taking in X amount of money a month, and obviously making over $250,000 a year, I personally, this is again, at my age, I thought the whole financing this equipment to pay it off and build credit, not even trying to sound cocky. When I talk to other kids my age, let's say I went to high school with, I'm just like, oh, wow, I'm in such a good boat right now because of the decisions I made. And half of that is at least, the financing this equipment, knowing that I have the money to pay it off. And once it's paid off, I save, again, $2,000 a month and I can buy a house. I would have never thought that. My mindset going into the business was, yes, I want to have a debt-free business. I never want to, God forbid something happens, have to pay all this stuff off, which is still very true. But at the same time, my family members will always talk to me and they say, Troy, you're you're a businessman. Why don't you invest into like stock and stuff like that? And I'm like, you know why? Because that's volatile. You never know if it's going to go up or down. I don't necessarily want to do the research in that because I feel if I'm going to invest into something, it's me because I believe in myself. That's not me being cocky. That's at least knowing the business that I have. I trust that if I put money back into my business, that is where I'm going to have the best, return on my investment.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean,
that's
I agree.
100% how I feel. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. That's all. We did a whole podcast about a month ago talking about good debt, bad debt, financing things, and not financing things. And I presented about 4 or 5 different roads that you guys can go down as a Plinko chip, if you will, and let the chips lie where they may. But everybody's got their own approach to being debt free or financing things. I personally, I'm a big fan of good debt. I definitely love using good debt. I can slingshot my life forward. It just comes to being intelligent, understanding what you're doing, having a good game plan, being on the same page with your significant other, your spouse, your wife, your husband, your whoever your little cherub is, and making sure that you guys are on the same page. But look, Troy, let me shift gears and talk about where do you want to go next? Because you got the growing company. Right now, you're going to realize that building systems, a little bit of structure, empowering people are all the things that you're kind of working on and focusing on right now. But then there's also, do you want to build a second crew, a third crew? What are you doing outside of selling? What are you doing with your time now? How are you spending that? And then where do you want to take this thing for 2023? We'll get the prelude.
Oh, I can honestly touch on a whole bunch of stuff in the sense that what I want to do moving forward is, yes, by next year, I do want to have the landscape crew. One thing that if you guys follow, I might butcher his name, Tigran Gertz. If you've seen his video talking about why he bought this certain excavator for X amount of money, it's because would you rather buy this excavator that can do the job of 2 or 3 employees for this amount of money, or hire 2 and 3 employees and pay this amount of money for the year to have them? It makes more sense to get that excavator. Mm-hmm. That made me think like, wow, I never thought of it that way. That, yeah, I would hire guys to, try to get the job done faster. But at the same time, yeah, I should probably get this equipment that I do need. It has nothing to do with trying to take jobs away from people. We have a good amount of guys and we're always hiring. People always say, always be hiring. You know what I mean? But you got to look at it from a business standpoint. That is one thing I want to do this coming year is, yes, buy an excavator, because the one thing we don't do in my business right now is hardscaping. So that's another thing is next year we want to do hardscaping. Cool.
Okay, cool. And is there a big market for that over in Jersey?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Another thing I can actually touch on is, yes, the market for hardscaping here in New Jersey is, a lot of people like doing it. There's some, I guess you can say higher income neighborhoods that they just love hardscaping. They want a paver driveway. They want a paver patio. They want all pavers. If it was up to them, their house would be made out of pavers. But for me, we expanded so many services this year, and that is just the one thing we don't do, and that's why I want to do that. I've thought about Christmas lights. For me, it just doesn't necessarily make sense in our area with the amount of people that really do decorate for Christmas. It's kind of underwhelming and makes me a little upset because I love Christmas. But you got to just figure out what works for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. No, and I'm really, really excited for you, man, because I've seen you grow like crazy the last couple of years. You guys are pouring it out there, and it's really, really fun to see other people grow. I'm always your guys' biggest cheerleaders, man. Let me do this really quick. Let's shift gears. Last kind of thing we'll touch on just for a minute, because I actually got a hard stop here in just a little bit. But want to talk about social, man, because you're blowing things up on social media. There's a bunch of great people that are really spending some time creating valuable, helpful content. And you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of subscribers or millions of downloads on a podcast, guys, to influence or to help or to serve or to share. I mean, I know that's kind of a no-brainer, but if you're just having, you and 20 guys, I think about a friend of mine, Paul Capote down in Miami, PGL. They've got a brotherhood forming up of about 20, 30 guys. I'm sure 2 to 3 times that in general, but I always see 20 guys meeting up down in Miami area, South Florida area. But they're changing the way that they do business down there together and having a brotherhood and helping each other with pricing, helping each other with best practices and just networking. I mean, there's so much power in that. And you see these little pockets growing all over Pittsburgh, Florida, Illinois area, Ohio, all over the place. So you guys are over in Jersey. You're doing a bunch of great stuff with YouTube. Talk about the social. What are you doing there? What's new? What's working? And talk a little bit more about that.
So a huge thing that I love about YouTube is I love when I periodically get a comment on one of my older videos. Like I have one of my playlists is my how-to videos, how to change the oil filter on this mower, how to change the air filter on that mower, or just in general, how to do spark plugs, yada, yada. I love getting that comment on a video saying, hey, thank you for making this video. I had no idea what I was doing. And now I was able to do it in 5 minutes or something like that. That makes my day. It's one of those things that, you know what, you might be having a kind of crappy day. It's raining outside. You're not getting anything done. You see that, it boosts, your feeling for the day. I'm trying to grow my YouTube. We just hit 2,000, I think, when I was at LAL. And it makes me very happy to see that people want to see what content I'm putting out. I do Instagram, I guess you can say, but my bigger thing is I like making YouTube videos.
Okay.
In that regard is, yes, I am big on doing the how-to videos, reviews, and showing people. I mean, one of my biggest videos is top 5 mowers for under $5,000 in 2022. I haven't made that for 2023 yet for obvious reasons, but that is a huge video because obviously if you're starting off, people who subscribe to my channel know I started off with some residential, Home Depot equipment. I had a John Deere zero turn from Home Depot that I only really purchased that because when it's usually over $3,000, they were trying to get rid of it for $1,600, even though it was brand new. They just, I think it was overstock or something. That's why I bought it. And then I go to Tractor Supply and got that Cub Cadet walk behind. It was 33-inch that I could talk about that mower for hours, but we don't have that kind of time. Go to my YouTube, DJ Lawn Landscape. You can see that, yes, in a short period of time, I went from residential mowers to having now Toro and Exmark mowers, and just how I was able to skyrocket my business just by, not only investing in myself, but watching these other guys on social media. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't recommend enough. Guys, if you have been thinking about getting into it, do it. It's going to take time, but it also makes you feel good realizing that there's other people that want to hear what you have to say.
Dude, that's awesome.
So other than that, all I can say is, I'm sorry. Yeah, TJ Lawn Landscape on YouTube. Obviously, just go subscribe, watch my videos. I always say, if you've seen my videos before and you're not subscribed, YouTube's telling you something like, hey, you like this guy, go subscribe.
The algorithm knows, man. The almighty algorithm, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's your thoughts been, just open mic therapy session. What's your thoughts been so far growing a YouTube channel? Because I know you have aspirations to do even more. Before we hit record, I was like, hey, dude, if you can do it, you can commit to it, man, rock and roll. Right. There's only so much bandwidth in a day. And you're like, I want to do another channel and another channel. I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, I know I could, there's people that you guys know, I could tell you that they got 17, 18 channels. One has 1 sub, the top one has hundreds of thousands of subs and everywhere in between. And they have 18 little YouTube channels and sources of income. And one might be making, $1 a day. One's making $100 a day. I don't know. So it is an option out there to make extra income and share what you're passionate about. So how long have you been on YouTube now? How many subscribers you got? And then what's been your assessment of making a lawn care YouTube channel, bud?
So I don't necessarily know when I made my YouTube, but I really started getting into it last year. I had videos over the years, but I really wanted to start pushing my YouTube side of my business last year.
Okay.
I am currently at, I think, 2,040 subscribers, and I never would have thought I would hit that. In all honesty, I'm surprised that I hit that, but I'm very happy. I love doing my YouTube channel because, watching these other guys, I try to always see what differentiates what I'm putting out versus the other guys. Because if you think about it, if everybody's doing a review on, let's say, the Toro Multiforce, why are people going to want to watch my video about it?
Sure.
So I always think when I'm making a video, what am I going to do in this video to differentiate it from everybody else? Is everybody else actually like really testing this by putting it in like a 5-foot tall field and seeing if it bogs down? Yeah, usually you're going to see at least one video on that. But what else can I do?
Mm-hmm.
Can I can I do a video on, maybe some guys don't really talk about the warranty that comes with it. You know what I mean? I try to touch on every single subject. My most recent video, the title is money sign in just under 30 minutes. And then I ask in the video, if you guys can guess how long this property took in the comments. If you get it right, I'm going to send you a bottle of Mower Magic. Somebody got it in like an hour. But it's all about engagement. It's about showing people that, you know what, you can do it too. A huge video, if you guys, obviously, I know, Brian, you're familiar with Cornell Mack. He put out a video a little bit before equip. Sorry, everyone does that.
Mm-hmm.
But basically talking, like, the name of his video was You Can Do It. It's going to work. Keith Kelfis saw that video and really helped him blow that up. But it's just wild to me how, you know what, not only is it these smaller guys that might say something that, is going to resonate with you. So even the guys with smaller channels, go subscribe to them, help them out. It takes 2 seconds to subscribe to the channel. And you know what, if the video comes up, watch it, don't watch it, doesn't matter, but they get so happy to see that, you're subscribed and you care what they have to say. But at the same time,
yeah, I'm
sorry. So somebody like you could literally on your channel plug someone's video and that makes their day. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, that's the thing. I'm subscribed to probably 250 lawn care YouTube channels. I mean, everybody says, hey, can you send, give me any tips or suggestions? They send me their channel. They got 2, 3 videos or 10 videos. I'm always happy to weigh in. By the way, I'm not the guru with YouTube, bro. Like all I've done with YouTube is fail. I have failed and failed and failed, and that is why I'm successful. Like the good old Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, whoever said it. That's all it is. Like we have 1,100 videos now. That's all it's been. It's just been consistently over time, failing and just trying to learn and make content that people want to watch. And also, to be totally fair, content that I want to make. There's a fine balance there, by the way. And that's all it is. And by the way, it's just consistently over time. Right. People are like, oh, you can't make a YouTube channel now and succeed. Or it's dude, every same excuse that anybody said now, by the way, they were saying it 5-6 years ago. YouTube is saturated. We were dealing with way harsher conditions, dude. Adpocalypse. YouTube was demonetizing so much of the platform. Dude, you today, it's not even in the same galaxy. By the way, lawn care YouTube wasn't even a thing 5-6 years ago. You might have been able to create content, but who was going to be online to watch it, right? And so when you have these, and some people like hate on the bigger channels because they get all the views, which is not true at all. I mean, you can have a small channel, make really interesting content, have 1,000 subscribers, but still get videos that do 1 million views. I can give you a dozen examples that people have 1, 2, 5, 10,000 subs, but get millions of views. And by the way, those millions of views quickly turn into tens of thousands of subs. But one thing I'll say is that thank God for the bigger channels that pull in the views, because once those people are done watching the big channels, those people stay on the platform and they go watch the second, third, fourth, YouTube video and channels, and it always recycles to the smaller channels, to the bigger channels, to the smaller channels, to the bigger channels. By the way, Troy, there's people that you bring into the ecosystem that once they're done watching your, best mower to buy for under $5,000, they're like, okay, I want to watch that. Cool. Oh, but what's this? Best stand on 0-turn mower for 10 grand. Oh, Brian's on maintenance. I'll click that. So like, it's never competition on YouTube, guys. It's never competition in your local market. It's just, that's horrible stinking thinking thought process. A friend of mine, he says, heathens compete, Christians inspire. You don't have to be a Christian to inspire or to be collaborative, but it's just a different of mindset out there. Like, stop looking at people as your enemy or competition. Right. Like, bro, if you give, you will get. And it's always pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. So you got to give to get. If you don't give, here's the prerequisite. If you don't give, you don't get. So we're leaving breadcrumbs of thought process that works out there. And I love it, man. So Troy, I'm really excited for you, man. You got some great things going on. I know that a lot of people know that are listening in and watching. They're big fans, and we all watch on the YouTube channel. So that Ballard video that you did last summer was really, really good, by the way. I still point people to that. I'm like, that's the best. Dude, you had like the John Deere yellow, deck. It was one of the stamp decks, if I'm not mistaken. That thing cleaned up like showroom finish with that Ballard Mower Magic.
Yes, sir. I was talking with Corey I told him at GIE, oh my God, Eclipse, sorry, that I wanted to make a video completely sell it. It was just a joke, but it was funny that I put up, I want to say it was 3 weeks ago, just of all the Ballard products that I have. And if you saw that video, awesome. If you haven't, go look at it. It's on my channel again, TJ Warner Landscape on YouTube. But I made a funny video about showing off what Mower Magic can do. You know, the advanced shoot, the mower jack. The one thing I wanted to do in that video, but I couldn't do, I forgot, was this was like right after Halloween, right? I wanted to jokingly, again, it was very much a joking video, show how sharp the Ballard razor blades are, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we just put away all the Halloween decorations, and I completely forgot what I wanted to do is be like, look at how sharp these are, and just have a fake hand of my employee and pretend to chop his hand off. We're just joking around here, but I put the Halloween decorations away, so I didn't have that in the video. Corey said he loved the video.
That'd be one that pulls in views, but then of course YouTube demonetizes it. It's like you can't win, man. Like it's so hard to do anything fun or extreme on YouTube these days because they'll just like demonetize it. So that's why it's always like all the pew pew channels, all the gun channels. It's like there's no ads. If you've never really realized, every time you click a video, no ads play. But as soon as they start the video, hey guys, today it's brought to you by Glock or Aim Point or whatever, the NRA or whatever gun lobby, which is awesome. Just funny how it all works, but. Anyway, really
quick, I also wanted to touch back at what you were saying about it's all community, right? Because actually just yesterday, I reached out to a local kid in my area. There's actually two guys, these like 17, 18-year-olds that I've been helping out, kind of like giving them advice. I told one, hey, you got to get on Yard Book because he actually asked me, hey, did you ever do work for, again, not saying the address, 123 Sesame Street? I'm like, oh my God, I'm just letting you know, dude, you don't want to work with them because they didn't pay. I know it's an ongoing thing with other contractors and stuff like that. And I was like, so what's in your estimate? He goes, wait, what? I'm like, the estimate, what'd you send her? She goes, oh, he said it was all verbal. I'm like, you gotta get on Yard Book and send them something in paper so it shows what you're going to do, right?
Sure.
Then another guy, he just made a new a business card and maintenance is spelled wrong on the card. So it's 100%. Like, I do like to help these other guys out. And you know what? If you have a bigger business, the smaller guy's going to love you for it. You know what I mean? Give them some advice and stuff like that. It's not competition. There's enough work out there for everybody, you know?
I love it.
Just want to obviously touch on that a little bit because it's 100%. It's not a competition, you know?
No, I love it, man. It sounds like one guy needs to stay away from Sesame Street. The other one needs to go back to Sesame Street and learn his letters, you know?
I love it.
I'm just having fun. No, that's good stuff. And I'm just having fun. But dude, you guys are, you're a bundle of energy, bro. Like, I love it. Things are going really well. You can tell people that are growing, they have a great attitude, they have enthusiasm, they have excitement. And they're making things happen, man. They're chiseling out their little slice of the universe and attracting great things to them. And dude, give it a couple more years, let it keep growing in momentum and cycling up. And I have no doubt in my mind that you'll be one of the greats here on YouTube and then also in your local community and region, man. Just employing a bunch of great people, offering a great place for people to work, and you're going to be really, really proud of yourself as you already are. And it's, of course, as things continue to grow, man. So I do get to shift gears here. We're going to kind of button it up. Where can people find you, man? And then we're going to kind of land the plane and we'll be done.
So my main two platforms, obviously, it's Instagram, TJ Loan and Landscape, and then on YouTube is also TJ Loan and Landscape. On my link tree, you can see I have stuff like, obviously, 10% off on LAL. I'm sorry, Launchpreneur Academy.
Yep.
And some other stuff, you know, just I will tell you guys, if you're going to do anything with your business, obviously have a good CRM. I can't recommend Yardbook enough. I actually did recently try another platform, do Yardbook. I know Brian just completely asked me to plug myself. I'm going to be plugging Yardbook. You got to get a good CRM. To basically put all your stuff in and make sure that you are organized. You know what I mean?
Amen.
100%. TJ Loan and Landscape, guys.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, thanks for the love and the support. We use Yardbook. We've used Yardbook for a long time, and we'll continue to use Yardbook for the long while in the future as well. Amen. So, Good looking out, man. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks so much for taking time this morning to jump on the show. And guys, give him a follow on Instagram. Give him a follow on YouTube. Check out his videos. Let him know Brian's on maintenance end ya. And if you guys enjoy the show, don't forget to leave us a rating and review, guys. We really appreciate that. Those 5-star ratings come in. And also leave us a couple sentences, if you guys don't mind, on the actual review. I appreciate the 5 stars, but if you guys want to help us social proof a little bit, like Troy was just saying, like, build a community with us, man. Kind of chime in, give us a couple sentences, let us know how we're doing, and help this podcast get a little bit more social proof. We're not a done product or a finished product by any stretch. I'm always trying to grow reviews, grow our audience, and by the way, probably 90+% of what we do comes organically from you guys sharing the show with another lawn bro, which we really appreciate that. So, guys, that's what I got for you on today's show. Thank you so much for Troy for hopping in. And guys, we look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Lawns, landscaping, and outdoor awesomeness, that's what your business does best. Managing your vehicles and optimizing efficiency with the latest technology is what we do best. GPS Track It provides a 24/7 view of where your company vehicles are and how efficiently they're operating, saving you time and money. With more than 12,000 customers, GPS Track It has delivered peace of mind for lawn and landscaping companies for 20 years. Ready to protect your vehicles and save money? Talk with one of our fleet advisors. There's no pressure, no hassles. Call 833-385-0252 or visit gpstrackit.com/BrianLM to learn more. Those details are in the show notes. GPS Track It.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.